So if you want to know why the United States has been in a state of perpetual war pretty much my entire adult life, George Bush is going to tell you. And this is what's called a gaffe. A gaffe is when you accidentally tell the truth in Washington, D.C. Now, when you lie, that's why it's so funny when they say they hate Donald Trump because he's a liar. No, they hate Donald Trump because he accidentally tells the truth once in a while. And here's a perfect example of when George Bush accidentally told the truth once in a while. Here it is. You want to know why we're at a state of perpetual war? Here it is. Here's going to let the cat out of the bag.
Let's put it this way. Money trumps peace sometimes.
Nice.
Isn't that funny?
Nice.
Is it, sometimes, all the time. But money trumps peace sometimes. And he's the head of the free world laughing about it. So, sometimes our donors want war, so we got to do it. I mean, all the time. You think they did? Do you think that he invaded Iraq to make us safer? Do you think we occupied Afghanistan for 20 years to make us safer? The wars are not meant to be won. The wars are meant to be endless. There it is. I'll play it for you one more time.
Let's put it this way. Money trumps peace sometimes.
And that's a guy who's never going to serve in one of those wars. That's a guy who dodged his service when he was supposed to. That's a guy who's born with a silver spoon in his mouth and never did a hard day's work in his life. Never went to war, never even went to do his service in the National Guard like he was supposed to. That's a guy who'll never have to risk the consequences. He's got 1 million people killed, and he's giggling about it. It's for money. Our wars are for money. Don't be an asshole. Everybody knows. There are no countries. There are only corporations and the international flow of dollars. And that's what that is right there. And look at it. Look at the fucking grin on his face. That's the grin of pure evil. That's what that is. That's the grin of pure evil. You think Netanyahu's evil? You think Hamas is evil? This guy, pure evil. He's killed more people than both of them put together.
It's a good painter.
I was going to say, he's an awesome artist.
You can't take nothing away from them painting.
Wasn't Hitler an artist also?
Not
Didn't
like
he
George
go to
W.
art
Bush.
school? Didn't Hitler go to art school?
He wasn't very good. Bush has
But
he go to
Bush
art
is
school?
fantastic.
Yeah, Bush is fantastic. Hitler was like whatever. Bush could like really do it.
So if you could watch this and still think that you should vote for a Republican or a Democrat like it's going to make a goddamn bit of difference, when are the American people going to wake up to the game that's being played on them? This is the game that's being played on you. There's a handful of billionaires that run the entire globe, and they want endless war. Why? Because it's good money for their fossil fuels. It's good money for their military-industrial complex. And it's good in every other economic way for them. Even though they're at the same time that Biden is sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine for nothing, and sending tens of billions of dollars to the Middle East, they're hollowing out the United States. They won't give you a college education. They won't give you community college. They won't give you health care. They won't clean up the homelessness. They won't clean up the criminals. They won't give you infrastructure. They won't give you clean water. They won't give a shit about the people in East Palestine or Maui or anywhere. They keep the border wide open so they can suppress wages. They keep the border wide open so they can suppress wages. That's what that is. There's a tight labor market right now. And they want to flood the United States with as many illegal immigrants as they possibly can to suppress wages. And they're trying to do because it's a tight labor market. I saw a billboard. I was in the Midwest. I was in Illinois yesterday. And I saw a billboard for an Aldi food store starting pay $22 an hour. That's why the border's open, so that doesn't happen. And this is who's running our country. A handful of billionaires.
Let's put it this way. Money trumps peace sometimes.
That is funny. That's hilarious. And you're never going to see that. Why do you have to turn into a jag-off comedian show to see that clip to explain to you exactly what's happening in world politics? You're never going to see Anderson Cooper play that. But he will call Cornel West crazy when he says we should demolish NATO and we should get out of Ukraine. But he'll never play you this. Rachel Maddow will never play you that because Rachel Maddow works for the exact same people that George Bush works for. She works for the exact same billionaires, and Rachel Maddow is just as evil as George goddamn Bush. All of them. All the people at Fox News, all the people at CNN, all the people at the New York Times, all the people at MSNBC. There's only 6 media companies in the whole goddamn country run by, again, about 15 billionaires. They all work for the same people. And none of them care about you, and none of them care about your country. All they care about is profit and the international flow of dollars and bankrupting the American Treasury so they can fill their pockets with it. And it's happening right in your fucking face. And somehow they got their war that divided us because the country was coming together around Ukraine to reject Ukraine funding. And they're like, hey, I know what we'll do. Yeah. We'll let Israel have their 9/11, and then we could have people hating each other again inside the United States, and we could have division and civil war, and all the while we're going to keep funneling billions of dollars out of our treasury, not into the countries and not into the communities and counties in the United States that need that money, but to the military-industrial complex, the fossil fuels, and all the bomb makers everywhere. That's what this is. That's what's happening. And there it is. And that doesn't piss you off. You still don't understand the game that's being played on you?
You know, the original speech that Eisenhower gave of the military industrial?
Yeah.
He was saying the military industrial congressional complex. They had him take congressional out before he did that. But it's a military industrial congressional complex, actually. That's like a major part of it.
Do people go ahead, Craig?
I was just going to say, with him laughing about sometimes money trumps peace when it comes to war, if you really want to get yourself upset, what we're seeing right now all over social media when it comes to Israel, we didn't get that for Iraq. The internet wasn't there like it is now.
That's right.
Go back, look at Assange, what he put out with the WikiLeaks, when it came to the Iraq logs, when it came to what's going on, how our government not only lied about what was going on, how many people they tortured, how they condensed the casualties. It will make you sick. And it's the same thing we're witnessing today. And I just want to say that because Assange is still in prison in Belmarsh right now, and there's no hope of him getting out. And he exposed what George Bush was laughing about right there.
And they used to say Donald Trump was the enemy of the freedom of the press because he was rude to Jim Acosta. And he said, oh my God, he's against freedom of the press. He's an enemy of the freedom of press and I said that about Donald Trump. Meanwhile, both parties agree, and Donald Trump agree on prosecuting the greatest journalist and most important journalist of our era, which is Julian Assange, and they're doing it right out in the open, right out in the public. And you assholes think voting for Joe Biden isn't voting for evil, isn't voting for an enemy of democracy? Yeah, and I got jagoffs from Harvard come on my show and say that Joe Biden isn't a fascist. He has dimensions of fascist. Well, I'm not as dumb as a Harvard professor, and I'm here to tell you what the truth is. That if you vote for Joe Biden, you're voting for fucking fascism. You're voting against your own interest. You're voting against democracy. You're voting against liberty. You're voting against freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of the right to assemble and petition your government for grievance. You're voting against all of it. You're voting against the whole idea of the United States by voting for either of those assholes. There are people who are out there right now telling you, sure, Joe Biden is helping commit a genocide, but you still got to vote for him. Why? Because of my trans brothers.
Yeah.
You got to vote for Hitler. That's what they're saying. People are saying this with a straight face.
And Jimmy, right now with this whole situation, all right, I don't want to say when you talk about being politically advantageous, this should be Cornel West's time right now. He's the only one getting this right.
And he doesn't give a shit.
Peter Dow shouldn't be freaking stepping down. He should be stepping up right now, and their message should be loud and clear. He can own this. Instead, he's cowering away, and they're going away.
The whole thing was
he's invisible, but Cornel West is completely invisible.
There's a scam from the start. I mean,
Cornel West. I saw that he's polling somewhere at 9% or something like that. And what demands is he making of the establishment? Is he going to actually use his leverage to tell Joe Biden that, hey, you better stop this World War III in Israel and Palestine, or else I'm going to tell my voters to vote for the Republican, or I'm going to tell my voters to. He's not doing anything. He's not making any demands, not doing anything.
You know,
That's the whole point of a third party running and getting to 10% in the polls, because now neither party can get elected without your supporters. That's the whole point of doing that. And he's not interested in it.
you know, he has like a massive tax problem and a child support
I
thing.
know. He owes $500,000 in taxes. How the
Yeah.
fuck does that happen?
Well, I mean,
What?
Why would he be serious about running for office or holding Joe Biden accountable when he has that hanging over him? And they'd probably make it clear, you know, you're going to say vote for Joe Biden, so we don't.
That's right.
They got 6 ways.
The
to
IRS
Sunday.
showed up at Matt Taibbi's house the day he was testifying in Congress about censorship.
Yeah.
You don't think the IRS is breathing down everybody else's neck,
Yeah.
including the Green Party? You don't think the FEC's breathing down Jill Stein's neck?
Everything runs on black.
Of course, Jill Stein's again. Couldn't have had a friendlier home at this show in 2016. Now she'll never talk to us. Why? Because I'm onto their bullshit, and they don't want to be exposed. They're all full of shit. Come see us doing live shows. We're going to be in Levittown, Red Bank, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Covina, California, Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, Milwaukee, and Lansing, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.